Hello, I'm Ben Brain from Digital Camera Magazine, and in this video lesson I'm going to show you how we can take this lovely wintry image here and add some cool film effects so that it looks something like this. And as you can see, we've added a nice film effect border. We've added a little bit of noise to emulate the effect of film grain, and as you can see, the colours are slightly skewed as well, and we're emulating the look of a cross-processed film where the colours are a little distorted for a cool effect. Okay, so let's get started, and let's go up to File, Open, and let's just select our original image, which you can also find on the CD, and it's effect_before.dng, meaning it's a raw file. So if we highlight this, click Open, and it should open in Adobe Camera Raw 4.5. Okay, to start with, we're just going to make sure that our white balance is set correctly, even though we're going to skew the colors. So let's just go to the white balance tool up on the main menu bar at the top here, click the pipette and sample an area from the sky here. And as you can see, it's quite subtle because the white balance is fairly close, fairly accurate in the first place, but there is a little shift in a color. If I sample another area, say this green field here, we should see that our colors are really skewed because it's trying to make that green a sort of default white. So let's go back to an area of cloud which we know should be white, sample that, and we have a good base color to go from. Okay, let's move over to the right hand side here, and now to skew our colors and give them a cross-processed look, we're just going to boost our temperature a little bit up to about 30, and as you can see, as I do that, it becomes a lot warmer. Try moving the sliders all the way and just see the various effects you can get as you move through the various color temperatures. But we're going to leave that set to about 30. You can just type that in the key as well. I'm going to add 30 onto the tint as well, so we're just getting a little bit more color there. I'm going to crank up the fill light just a little bit, just to get a little bit more detail in some of the darker areas here, and also I'm just going to tweak the contrast, boost that a little bit because that is one of the key characteristics of cross-processed film, and I'm just going to make it a little sharper using the clarity. And now we're done, we can press Open Image and the image will open in Photoshop Elements 7. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we're in Photoshop Elements 7, we can get on with the rest of our project. So first of all, let's make our image square, and let's do that by selecting the crop tool from the tools palette here and specifying our width and height so that we have a square. As you can see, the aspect ratio is set to no restriction on the drop-down menu, and we want to do that because, as you can see, not one of these is square. So we are going to just enter our dimensions in here, and let's just go for 25 centimeters. We can just tab through there, and let's set our resolution to 300 pixels per inch, and that means we are going to get a square. In fact, I've just noticed that's millimeters, so let's just add a 0 there, so we got a slightly reasonably sized image. Okay, so now as I move my crop tool over the image, I'm restricted and I can only make a square image. And once we're happy with that, we want to make sure that we got the tree in both sides just there, and we can click the Commit Current Operation check here, or you could just double click your mouse inside or hit the Enter key. So let's just double click there. Okay, now we're going to take our color enhancement just one step further. So let's go up to Enhance and down to Adjust Color, and let's go to the Color Variations window. And there you can see we have a nice before and after, and we can add or increase or decrease the reds, greens and blues to affect our overall image. So let's make sure that the Adjust Color Intensity slider is set to the midpoint here, and let's just simply click on our increase red and decrease blue, and you can see our before and after there. It's just changed the image again, and that is really simulating the effect of cross-processed a little bit more. If you're unhappy with what we've done, you can always just click the undo button here and you just go back to your original image, as you can see. But I think that was looking pretty good, so let's just keep that as it was and click OK. And there you can see we have a much more intense colors. Now we're just going to tweak our lighting just a little bit more, so back up to Enhance on the main menu bar and down to Adjust Lighting, and let's go to Brightness and Contrast, and let's add about 10 on our brightness and about 15 on our contrast. And of course, if you're doing this with your own images rather than our image, then take the sliders a little bit further and see how they work, because it can be a little bit different for different images. So let's keep that at 15 and click OK. Now we're going to add some film effect noise and to emulate the impression that it is film grain. It's already a little bit noisy, but we're going to just take that one step further. So let's go, and first of all let's go to Layer and duplicate our layer so that we make a copy of our layer. We could almost call this grain. Good practice says that we should rename our layers, and there we go. If we just go to Window here, and we can just see our layers will appear in the palette on the right hand side there. Let's just get that so we can see it, and there's our grain layer there. Okay, now we want to fill this layer, so let's go up to Edit, Fill Layer, and you can see our contents here is set to 50% grey. We'll keep our blending mode normal for the moment and our opacity to 100. Let's press OK, and as you can see now we have just a mid-tone grey, but don't panic, all will be revealed. Now let's just add the grain effect by going up to Filter, and let's go down to Noise and Add Noise. It's probably the one time you're going to want to do that. And we're going to add about 10% on the amount there. Make sure the distribution is set to Gaussian and the monochromatic box is checked. And you can just see here we are getting the noise coming through, and that looks a little bit like film grain, and you can see 100% view there. So let's press OK, and obviously we still can't see our image, so what we need to do now is to just change our blending mode. So let's go to the drop down menu and change it to Overlay, and there you go. You can see that our image now has a little bit of film grain effect, and you can see that if we just zoom into the image, and you can see some noise. Just use the grab tool to just move around. Now you could argue that that looks a little bit too noisy in places, but that's the effect that we are trying to replicate. Okay, we're also going to add a little vignette to the four corners to darken the four corners, as if the film camera that we used had been an old camera such as a Lomo or a Holga, and we're going to do that by going up to Filter and Correct Camera Distortion, and here you get this window here, and all we're going to do is just use the vignette slider here, and we're going to go to Darken, and let's just crank this all the way down to about -50. See if we go all the way, and you can see we get our edges becoming a little darker. Often used to actually correct the vignetting that you might get with bad quality lenses, but in this case we're just going to set it to -50 and use it as a creative device. Simple as that. Click OK, and then you can see that our image is looking a little bit darker in the corners. Let's just use that eye icon here, and we can just toggle the layer effect on and off to see how we're getting on with our creativity. Okay, for the last effect we are going to add our film effect border. So let's go up to File and then down to Place, and here we see we have our browser, and we're going to select the image called Border, which you'll also find on the companion CD. So let's press Place down here, and there you see our border has come into our image. And if that should for any reason be skewed so that it has a different aspect ratio to your original image, you can just grab the corners or sides of the image here and just move them so they are right. This happens to be good, so just click the Commit Current Operation tick, and we are done. Obviously we need to reveal the image underneath, So let's just change our blending mode again, and we're going to change it to multiply. So it's screen down there, and then you can see we have our film effect border has come over the image there, and it's looking really good. Now we can go back to our background layer here, and if we want to do any final tweaks to our image, we could select the dodge and burn tools from the tools palette on the left hand side. If we wanted to lighten or darken some areas, for example, I'm just thinking that this area here might just benefit from a little bit of darkening. And we can just work the image a little bit like that. And there you have it, our cool film effects on this nice winter landscape.